Hello guys and welcome to a new video. Today we're going through the final of the 9.1 walkthrough boss guides, path guides, whatever you want to call it, where we talk through the boss counters, the best champions for each path, and how to fight the paths to make it easier for you. This will be the final one, although it is 9.1.5. There is a 9.1.6 boss walkthrough on the channel, and the paths in that in 9.1.6 aren't too tricky, so I feel like you guys probably don't need the assistance with that, especially with my Oraki video on the channel. Once you have completed 9.1.5, make sure you do go back and check out that Oraki video. Hopefully it helps you out. That is the aim of every single one of my videos. So, talking of the aim, let's jump in and talk about this path. So, there are obviously three paths. One starting with Iron Patriot, a relatively easy path, in my opinion. You've then got another path beginning with Old Man Logan, again, something that isn't too tricky. And then the champion, which has an annoying unstoppable, funnily enough. So we'll start with this Old Man Logan because we're on it. The Pain Train, whenever attacker activates a striker, they gain an unstoppable buff for 10 seconds. Striking the defender with the first hit of a heavy attack refreshes the unstoppable. So in theory, you can stay unstoppable for the whole fight once you've got your striker, as long as you refresh your heavies. While the defender reaches 2 bars of power, they gain an indefinite prowess buff every 2 seconds. So make sure you keep the defender away from 2 bars of power. Make sure they throw their special one. Every 7 seconds, the defender gains a protection, reducing damage by 10%. These do stack, so you do have to remove them by interrupting the defender's heavy. This can just be by hitting them as soon as they finish. The defender's more likely to activate a special too, and whenever the attacker dashes back, the defender gains a pierce. Intercepting the defender removes all pierces gained by this ability and prevents the defender from gaining more for 6 seconds. So this is important, this last piercing pursuit, because of some of the champions on here, mainly Apocalypse and Hitmonkey. The rest of the champions, the pierce doesn't matter too much. Keep Taskmaster to his SP2. You shouldn't get hit by anything. Hulk Immortal to his SP1. And Archangel to his SP2. And they don't have any thing that will affect you. But with Apocalypse and Hitmonkey in particular, they do have projectiles, which, if they've got a lot of pierces, will make this fight a little bit tricky. So what you want to be doing is intercepting as much as you can to remove those pierces, and to heavy attack as often as you can to remove the protection and refresh your unstoppable. Obviously, any tech attacker works really well for this. Your best tech attackers in the game, Ant-Man Future, Shuri, Red Skull, Hulkbuster, all of them work very, very nicely and are great options for the fights. Moving across to Iron Patriot. Science champions receive 30% base attack, and Mystic champions receive a minus 10% attack, while skill attackers do get 15% increase. The defender doesn't take any damage, while they have less than 3 debuffs. These 3 debuffs can be of the same type, but they need to be 3 debuffs. When the defender is knocked down by heavy or special, they become debuff immune. When the defender activates a special attack, the attacker is inflicted with a heal block and an armor break, and whenever you, as the attacker, perform an intercept, you gain guaranteed critical hits for 7 seconds. So the way I like to do this was obviously bring in some science and skill champions who will have a lot of debuffs. The ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head are obviously Titania, Spider-Ham. You can bring in Nick Fury, Chilf, because they are obviously skill champions, but I would try and stick to your sciences, your Titanias, your Spider-Hams, your Quicksilvers, any of those science champions who have lots of debuffs, just so that you can do as much damage as as possible, because obviously without those debuffs, the defender doesn't take any damage at all. Intercept with, say, I've got a rank 7 or a 7-star rank 3 Spider-Ham. Intercepting with him meant that the fight was so quick, because the guaranteed critical hits sometimes were doing up to 15-16k damage on just a basic attack. So that ended the fight very, very quickly. But with your 7 stars, your 6 stars, if you intercept as much as possible, the guaranteed crits really, really help you out. and make this path quite easy. Try and bring in a slow counter, a She-Hulk, or a Quicksilver for the Wong, because he can be very annoying with his heavy attacks. But other than that, this path should be quite easy for a lot of you guys. And then finally, the Champions path. This was the path I did last because it's a Scourge path, and as you guys will know by now, I'm not a big fan of the Scourge path. So first we've got, when struck by or landing a basic attack, the defender gains 5% chance for each Scourge to inflict 100% power detonation passive. To remove the power detonation, you have to throw a special attack before the 15 seconds is over. The defender's attacks deal 5% of their modified attack as bursts of physical damage. So basically, they'll do 5% more damage per Scourge charge if the defender hits you. The defender gains a Scourge charge every 2 seconds. Every time you activate a striker, this is paused for 4 seconds. The only way to remove these Scourges are to intercept the defender, and that removes 3 Scourge charges. The defender also has Footloose, so gains an evade and an unstoppable whenever they throw a special attack. So good champions for this are, of course, champions who you can throw their SP1 to get rid of that power detonation, and who are good at intercepting, but also removing that unstoppable or evade. So good champions for this. You can bring in Shang-Chi, but I know I always bring him up, but he's the one I always think of as slow. Anyone with slow to stop that Footloose and just concentrate on intercepting and throwing your special one. You can bring in I brought in Wiccan for these because he has that neutralize, so that stopped the Footloose. But really, the goal here is to stop the Footloose and throw your special attack before the power detonation ends, so that you don't take a big burst of damage. Be careful with Red Skull, do not hit into his block, or when he has got the auto block timer from his SP1. But other than that, I imagine you guys will be quite okay. We now move on to the bosses here. We have Craven, Sandman, and Shocker. Sandman is by far the easiest. Just a rubbish defender. Like, he's so easy to take. You can move. You can go out of distance of his special one, meaning that it never really hits you. And keeping him at his special one is fine. His special 2 doesn't do too much damage and can be dexed most of the time, but just block that last little projectile he throws. The nodes on him. Whenever either champion gains a bar of power, they're inflicted with 3 dormant neuro shocks. Whenever a champion activates a special, any dormant charges on them are removed, and the charges on their opponent become active. So really, as soon as you get to your special one, throw it before he does, and put the neuro shocks on him, as it deals 25% of his attack as energy damage. Whenever a skill attacker fails to apply a debuff to the defender due to an immunity, they gain a precision buff, increasing their critical rating. So I brought in Chill for this fight. Sandman is bleed immune, but I was getting big crit numbers because I had that critical rating, or that precision buff boosting my critical rating. At the start of the fight, your block proficiency decays to 0 across 30 seconds. Throw a striker, and that removes that unblockable. Whenever the defender finishes a special attack, they gain a debuff immunity. This isn't too much of a problem if you bring in somebody who is putting on debuff Sandman's immune to get that crit, so anyone who's really bringing in bleeds. And when either champion finishes their heavy attack, both champions are afflicted with a 50% Spectre debuff. So if you're regenning through your mastery, you want to be purifying this Spectre if possible, so that was why Chill was such a good option for me. Shocker. Every 15 seconds, you are afflicted with a 10-second 100% power detonation passive. Whenever the attacker activates a special attack, future timers are decreased by 2 seconds to a minimum of 3 seconds. Intercepting the defender's dash attack pauses the power detonation for 7. So basically, throw your special attack before the power detonation ends. Soon, you will get one every 15 seconds, so either hold your power until you get your power detonation and then throw your special attack, or make sure that you're just intercepting the whole fight to pause those power detonations so that you can throw your special attack whenever you want to. The final hit of your heavy attacks grant you an unstoppable passive and a sleep passive. An attacker's special attack activated during this time is unblockable and gains 100% of their base attack. So basically, throw your heavy attack just as you do the first hit of the heavy, throw your special, and it's unblockable and does a lot more damage. Whenever you finish a special, Shocker finishes a special attack, he has 6 seconds to knock you have to knock him down within 6 seconds, or you're dealt 33% bar of power. So here, obviously, what you want to do is knock him down. To stop the auto block from him, you want to throw your heavy attack and then your special attack at the exact same time. If you use the same special attack as was used by him, it deals 50% less damage. But that's not something too much to worry about, because although it'll be doing less damage, you won't be taking that 33% of max health direct damage by not throwing your special attack. So he'll throw his specials. Make sure that after he's thrown his specials, you've got a special ready. So one hit of the heavy and special attack to make it unblockable, just so that he can't hit you. And that fight should not be too tricky. And then finally, the Craven fight. I'm not a big fan of fighting Craven, but Kitty Pryde made this fight stupidly easy. He has a protection, but once you knock him down with a heavy attack, that gives you a cruelty passive, increasing your critical damage. So obviously, I was knocking him down, doing a special 2 with Kitty Pryde with massive yellow numbers, up to maybe 100k per hit of my special 2, and it just knocked him down so quick. Whenever he's struck while his back's against the wall, you gain an indefinite prowess passive. So bringing in champions like Kitty Pryde or Bishop are very good for this fight, because those prowesses obviously convert their special attack into even more damage. The defender's defensive combat rate is increased by 5% for each prowess on you, so he does gain more power, but that is in your favour because his SP2 is completely dexable, whereas his SP1 has that very annoying trap. Whenever you knock him down, you have to use a special attack within 10 seconds, or you lose 50% of your max health. This again wasn't a problem with Kitty Pryde, because when I was phasing, if this timer ended just as I phased, I wouldn't take any direct damage. And every 6 seconds, he gains an unblockable charge, making his next attack passively unblockable. These are consumed whether he hits you or not. So good counters for Craven are champions like Kitty Pryde, Bishop, but you can bring in really anyone you like, who you usually like fighting Craven, as long as you keep him against the corner, build your prowesses for big special attack damage. And then, as we forgot to mention, good counters for Shocker are really any cosmic attacker, because they have class advantage, but you can really bring in anyone. But I brought in Venom, would throw his heavy attack, then his special attack straight away, and it just did an absolute ton of damage, and the Shocker lasted no time at all. So that does it for 9.1.5 and my 9.1 walkthroughs. I really hope these have helped you out, as these are it is the goal of the channel, especially these videos, is to help you guys out. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to interact with you guys, love to have a little chat about the game. Some more videos will be coming out. Obviously, in the future, we will be having 3 minutes or less, the new series where I try and talk about some of the sort of inform champions, I would say. So the champions who are popular or who fit the meta, talk through their playstyle in 3 minutes or less, just to give you a quick insight on how to play them and do the maximum damage in, say, Battlegrounds or questing, whatever it may be. I'll see you guys in that next video. Please do comment if you're new around here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.